Thank you, Cameron, and I'll certainly tweet later in the day, and I'm just a bit worried if it's going to be like Q&A. Are those tweets going to stay up there? So I'll be able to watch as I go? No? Which is good. It is a dangerous thing. Thank you all for coming today again for certainly the second one I've been to, but I think the third one organised of regional strategic leadership conferences, and was here a couple of days ago for the International Year of Cooperatives, so there may be some people in the room who were involved in that large gathering as well to promote the whole role of community empowerment through cooperatives. But some of the messages may be the same, so apologies if you hear them twice. To Tony Marshall and the RDA Mid-North Coast, to the organising committee, to Pete, and to everyone who's been involved in organising this, thank you. Hopefully you have a great day and everyone takes away something of value to build the communities you represent. Looking around, it looks like it is many people from our region, so once again, thank you for contributing to community building here. I thought I'd start with a quote. It's a quote that sits behind my desk, and I know a lot of people these days look at me and think, you know, there's a walking dartboard, how does he put up with it all? This is how I put up with it all. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, because there is not effort without error and shortcomings, but who does actually strive to do the deed, who knows the great enthusiasm, the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. So that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Now, many of you in the room would know that quote, and I certainly acknowledge Senator Thistlethwaite, who's here, and Sam Moyston and others who've come. Many would know that quote from Teddy Roosevelt, a rare politician who can be loved by regional MP colleagues like Bob Catter. And I'm not here to sell his book, but if you read his book, half of it's about Teddy Roosevelt. And at the same time, the guy was a champion of women's rights for his times, something for all of us to think about on the back end of the Australian gender wars going on at the moment. But this quote is one that has sat on my desk for the last 2 years and been a point of reference for all the white noise of the moment to make sure I keep a focus, and I hope our community keeps a focus very much on results over the insults that we hear fly around all too much. So these are the words that I think of most when the talkback radio is demonising, or the political parties are mobilising, or the government is failing. In the end, it is about the courage to stand and fight for what is right, beyond whether you win or lose. Because, in my view, let's face it, of all the leadership in Australia today, regional leadership is the hardest. Every fight we go into, we are outnumbered at least 2 to 1 before we even begin. We know we don't have the unfettered access to the tools of modern communication. The mass media editors is just one example. That those, our metropolitan colleagues, either MPs or community builders, have at their quick disposal. And as an example, I really hope to meet the CEO of Fairfax today. I do genuinely thank him for coming if he is here. It does matter that he has come to our community, but that is just one example of a rare opportunity that presents himself for a conversation about the issues important to us. So none of this makes our issues any less worthy, or none of this should stop a true regional leader, in my view, from standing for the communities and fighting. And I'm not one who is claiming to be the regional leader for this region. What I do claim is that I represent many of you in this room who I consider are the regional leaders within this mid-north coast of New South Wales region. And in a broader sense, I do feel a sense of obligation and representation for many of the regional leaders throughout communities of regional Australia in the Australian Parliament. So it's for this reason I appreciate the conference today, appreciate the invitation today, and hopefully this is once again a chance to build resilience and to build for more fights on the many issues today. I want to give you one example locally of someone I consider to be a great example and great regional leader, not just forefathers in US parliaments such as Teddy Roosevelt. His name was Norm Morgan. Many of you would know him in the room. He was a friend of mine and recently passed away. He was a gentleman. He wasn't loud and verbose, but he was strong in his principles and strong in his views at the same time. Over 20 years of service at local schools on the P&Cs and a similar stint at the local surf club where you look at the honour board and it's all Norm Morgan. And very much a bloke with the family at the centre of his world. At his funeral, though, only recently, one sentence captured the spirit of Norm and the reason for bringing it up today, the spirit of regional leadership more than any other. When in the eulogy the following was said: Norm was a lifter, not a leaner. Everyone from 15 years in public life and all the honours that go with seeing inside many households, many businesses and many communities, this combination of the late Teddy Roosevelt and the late Norm Morgan is all I can say today. Be a lifter, not a leaner, and get into the arena and fight for what we all believe in, and damn the critics and the sideline commentators along the way. With this thinking, I wanted to raise some of the issues just of this week, because it has been another busy week in politics, and about some of the opportunities in a very real and practical way where we can all be helping and can do more. And many are involved in some of these topics and may want to do more. Many might hear about it for the first time and might want to get involved. I raise these issues as an invitation for you to get involved. 3 grant rounds were announced this week of relevance to us. Finally, the rounds 3 and 4 of the Regional Development Fund were released. That's $225 million now available to go into regional communities such as ours. It is application-based. There is a small grant round and a larger grant round, but I would strongly encourage everyone to have a look. Get creative and, where possible, to put in an application for regional community building. As well, there's been a $48.5 million regional tourism funding round, which was negotiated in the last weeks of last year on a piece of legislation. But if there is an area that needs to have a bumper summer and to really lift overall as a sector, it is regional tourism, with a high Aussie dollar and half of Australia heading overseas for holidays. This is one small opportunity to, again, get creative, put in some applications and try and boost regional tourism again in Australia. As well, round 5 of the Trade Training Centres was released. It will be staggered as a funding release over the next 12 months, but the actual funding round was released this week. And for our region, this is a critical piece in our education strategy that we've been running for the last 4 years. Anyone from the Manning would know that there are 3 high schools there working in a cluster in engaging the North Coast Institute of TAFE, and I note the Executive Director, Elizabeth McGregor, is here today, and really building that collaboration between secondary and vocational education has been running now in the Manning for over a year, has high uptake, and is really encouraging people to stay in education, even if they might not have the great study ethic and more focused on the work ethic. It allows that to no longer be an either-or choice for students and combines them within the school environment. So we've had one in the Manning for some time successfully. The independent schools, Manning Anglican and St Columba, have combined to do one in 2 regions. And only yesterday, Minister Garrett was here to open the 3 cluster school in the Hastings, Port Macquarie, Westport and Wauchope. and hopefully that is going to have similar success as the others. There are still plenty of other schools who can access this next round, and I'm sure those that have come from other regions, I hope your antenna is twitching and you'll have a look at the importance of that program. Because for us as a region, we have placed great emphasis on the importance of education. We have traditionally been a region with low uptake in education and haven't traditionally, by comparison, placed as greater emphasis on the importance of things like length of stay in education and engaging in higher education as, by comparison, other regions have. All the data, though, is now making it a no-brainer that we've got to do more as a region, and we are. It is clear that once you get past Certificate 3s, more money in the pocket, less problems with change of career path or change of jobs in a fast-moving economy now, and also things like happiness indexes. It is proving up that generally, not always, but generally, there is a higher level of happiness the higher the level of education. So with all that no-brainer data, we have put a lot of effort in locally as a range of education providers and community builders in really trying to lift the aspiration locally. I am pleased that some of the data now is showing there is greater engagement. Charles Sturt University, for example, and I'm not sure if anyone from them is in the room. Ross Chambers is here. We're very lucky to have him, and he may talk about some of the enrolments for next year as being off the page in courses like paramedics, which is very, very exciting. So the engagement is now really starting to happen between community and some of those new and welcome education providers. Likewise, the University of New South Wales and the Rural Clinical School, I had a look there during the week. Those plans are progressing. In 2015, Port Macquarie and maybe Wagga will be the first locations that deliver a Bachelor of Medicine degree from the one regional location all the way through anywhere in Australia. That is starting to turn it around, that it's not only about the Sandstones in Sydney that run the show. We can deliver in communities such as ours, and it does make a difference in overall resilience within the community. As well, yesterday, and this is where everyone in the room can help, I spent a lot of time just talking about Gonski and Gonski. For anyone who knows what that is a report that was delivered on secondary education funding models, and with Minister Garrett, I consider him for the next 3 to 4 months to be the most important politician in Australia. He's either going to land it in full with a really good funding model behind it, or he's going to get monstered by competition within the sector. He's going to get monstered by politicians, state and federal, and it'll all be a bit of a home goal. So anyone who wants to help the cause, don't worry about the political parties involved, but if anyone wants to help the cause of better education outcomes for communities like ours, please get into this fight over the Gonski review. For our region, it would make a significant difference in the funding coming into our area. It places a weighting for the first time in the funding models on lower SES communities. It places a weighting on Aboriginality, and it places a weighting on rurality. That's us. Like it or not, that is us. And that is, in many ways, I think, the communities that many in this room have come from. It is a really important fight for our future. As well, earlier in the week, I went to the National Farmers Federation conference in Canberra and was pleased that some of the work we've been doing in the food, soil and water area has now started to land. And only talking before with Sam, and you may hear more later, there is some sustainability work that is now starting to be announced, which is looking for the sustainability sweep of all policy to make sure all policy can